Hey, so welcome to the Kingdom Business Conversations podcast. My name is Stephen DePue, and this is
Mitch Foster.
So just wanted to bring you guys on here for a moment and share more about what's really just burning in our heart, right? Like, what do we want to express to you, the audience, about how we can be more transparent, vulnerable, and real to help shape a better business culture, really. How we can become proponents and cheer each other on, not just through the successes, but also through some of the failures of learning how to do business. This is a quick little background of our story. Me and Mitch have been working together for over really about a year now, and started a roofing business. And with that, we encountered a lot of challenges right away. If you want to go ahead and, I guess, share some of the story at first.
And I mean, I think it's just looking at it from a perspective, just even me and you talking, and we've kind of been like, everybody just shares hey, this is how great we are as a company, and these are our wins. And I just think it's creating a place to just kind of be real and, owning our mistakes. I think that's kind of been a big thing, but also with how we look at mistakes, and really getting a perspective shift to mistakes are just opportunities to grow, to get better, but also make things right. And, I think we can look at, because initially we got into this to just do the preservation. It turned into a full-on roofing company. I mean, it's just been a God story. There's another podcast that kind of shares the story of this that we'll also have up. But I think it's just our first re-roof, right? When God's getting us into re-roofs. And I mean, we end up building an entire porch. Okay. It was an area not addressed. It was like a metal, it is a metal porch. And it was just kind of but we learned so much and got so much better after one roofing job, even though we didn't make any money. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think we barely broke even. I think when I did the job cost report, I think we made $17.
Well, I don't want to add to, right? Because when you go into it, you're expecting right away to start to try to make money, right? And if that's your mindset, starting a business, just don't start a business, really. I mean, it's going to take you some time. Right, you're going to have to build and invest in people, investing into the systems, the structure, realizing it takes time. And coming from the right heart posture is so important, because even in those moments, right? We look at the moments of having to make decisions okay, hey, company's not making any money on this, but we're going to do what we said we're going to do. We're going to take care of the customer and then just ensure they have a great experience with us, right? Rewriting the narrative for the construction industry, specifically for roofs, but for, that's our aim, our mission is hey, we love people. Well, how can we show them that we actually love them? We're going to show them that we're going to take care of them, even when the moments that we mess up, and where other people are fighting back and forth, tooth and nail, making one small little hiccup into a headache. We're just going to simply take care of the people.
Yeah. And I mean, that job was a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And I had the same attitude the whole time, where I was just man, what a blessing this is, because it's really that perspective of just the other things that went on. I'm wow, we're going to be so much better after just one job.
Yeah.
And, if you can continue to look at that thing, because I just believe that God makes all things work together
for the good,
for my good. I really actually truly believe that. So even in the midst of the challenges, even in the midst of something that's saying contrary to that, that's not actually my foundational truth. So it's even with starting this business, and even though there's those things, and it's starting to turn a profit, I understand that there's that part takes time, because we need to learn, we need to grow. But I can also look at it right now and be wow, now there's some people in our company that are really starting to become blessed by this company, and we're only a year old. So even though, it's the majority owner, even though I haven't seen that yet for me, I have such this like hope inside of me that I know that by paying people really well, right? Because I think I've seen so many businesses where it's like the guy at the top is making all the money, and you look and nobody else is really being blessed by that, by that same company.
What would you say that's why majorities stay as small businesses?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's it's loving people inside the company as well as loving customers.
Loving customers, and it's being in it from the perspective of like the long-term side, right? Like if you're going in there for like, hey, I'm going to see everything right up front versus this is an investment of time. But what else are you investing? You're investing your time into people. And what do we know? It's like we can't multiply us, but we can multiply the skill set that you carry. And that's one thing I'll commend you on. I was like, I get to watch you even with different people on our team, watching you spend time to invest and to develop into them. And you can see even from the get-go, like that first job that we did was saying, well, what can we, this is such a blessing, right? And it may make other people scratch their head like, what is wrong with you? Like, what? No, this isn't a blessing. This is a problem, and this is bad. This is not good. Like, this sucks. And well, maybe to your eyes, right? And so, but the more that we speak the truth, right? Like we see not just actually like reading the Word of God, but believing the Word of God, like believing this Word is alive and it's active and it is what it is, and He is who He says He is. And that's where I think like you get to capture like the moments. You get to see the shifts in people's attitude and their mindsets. And it's like really what influence is, right? I mean, influence is when you start to see those shifts start to happen because of who you are and how you keep leading and you stay consistent with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think like just even, getting to work with you has been such a blessing because, I am not a systems structure guy. I'm just throw me in a river and I'll just go where the river goes. And it's just, it's how I live. It's a gift that God's put on my life, but it's also given me the ability to take some major faith risks, and I feel like everybody is given opportunities. It's just whether or not they can step over that line and jump because it's a lot on the line. You look at, you have a family or you have kids and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this. I'm walking away from something else, or I'm laying something else down and I'm jumping in. And, to kind of jump into this and then just have God like send somebody like you, where it was like, I was even describing the person that I needed to my wife because she was, part of her was thinking I was going to start doing a lot of those things. And I was like, this is just not happening, And I was like, it's not happening.
I'm not wired that way.
Like, but God's got somebody.
Trying to get me to do it, but I'm not doing it. I'm like, yeah.
And, I just look at the first 3 months that we spent together and, just the time, just from the foundation, we built something and intending for it to grow. So we took 3 months and just building the back end, but just sitting down with you and, just back and forth, but seeing just even you creating the structure, the systems, the processes for everything. And even how you just continue to like evolve, you know what I mean? Through listening to listening and, listening to myself or listening to like our other employees, you know what I mean? Like, hey, can we switch this? Maybe this would be better. And, be willing to make changes from there. But, I just wish we were playing as much pickleball, though.
I know.
Like, I really enjoyed the amount of pickleball we played in the first 3 months.
I was thinking about it, actually, as I was getting ready for this. I was like, I should bring my pickleball paddle and a change of clothes.
Yes.
We could somehow squeeze it in.
It's 95 degrees outside.
Yes, that's what I was thinking afterwards. I was like, you know what? It is so hot right now. Besides being on the roofs, I'm like, I don't want to be outside. But that's, I thought about that too, even this morning, like you just talking about the evolving pieces, right? Like as it grows, how we have to grow with it. And that's what a business is. It's ever evolving. It's changing. It's growing. It's adapting. In a way, I do look at it like my son, he loves these Paw Patrol shoes, loves them. He thinks every time he wears them, he's going to be super fast. And part of why he believed, like, right? It's what he believed because of he's just wearing something. So there's just the power of belief. That's one story you can look at there. But really what I want to get the point across to you is saying, like, when you eventually you keep growing, and just as a business, as healthy as it keeps growing and you have these things, what you used to have on you eventually restricts you if you're not willing to let go of the old to take a hold of the new, right? Like, you have to let go of this old shoe, if you will, because he's growing, right? And if he keeps on wanting to wear these shoes, he's just going to start walking around. It's going to hurt him. He's going to be uncomfortable. Eventually, he's going to bust through the shoe if he tries to wear that. Luckily, I was like, that's just the anatomy of a child, but eventually the pain would probably get worse before that happens. You got to be willing to, like, okay, let go of the old. It's time to get on some new, like, and these shoes are going to actually make you run even faster, because that's my, like, right. And that's like the father's heart, like, belief into the situation. And it is exactly right. Like, I'm thinking about business wise, like how many times people get stuck in an old way. And then it's the belief. I'm like, okay, but this is going to make you run even faster. This is going to get you to go even greater heights. And it's a mind shift, right? I'm like, but it's hard because it's like, oh, but this is what I've loved for so long. I'm like, but if you let go of that, then you'll get the little bit, I guess, larger shoe, which is actually a newer, nicer, and it's something that you can wear for the next 6 months to a year.
And, speaking of that, I think that's been one of the beautiful things that I've seen both of us do is admit being wrong. Like, we had some certain plans about how, or ideas that, even thinking they were from God, of like the plan, you know what I mean? And like, both original. Just both be willing to, like, just lay down certain things, like, okay, I missed it here, or hey, that wasn't the best decision. Yeah. But it's like, we're not holding, even if they cost money, like, we don't hold one another, like, in a position of like, man, you did that cost us a bunch of money. And we're just like, whatever, we learned, right? We learned, we moved past, and we just, but that's a big part about moving with the Spirit is you have to be humble enough to be like, I'm not going to get everything right.
That's right.
And you can grow so much further and so much faster if you can just do those things. And it's just exactly what you're talking about. People get so set in, well, this is how I do it. And they never get past being even involved in the everyday operations of the company. I'm already thinking in my mind how, I mean, honestly, this was my idea. I'm way more involved in this company than I originally thought I would need to be. Mm-hmm. But like I said, at the same time, I have, foam sales that I do as well. And I mean, honestly, that's what's paying my bills. But I've realized that God really did want me more involved in the beginning of this company. But it's also, though, I have the mindset building it in a way where I can actually step away and it's covered. It has systems, it has operations going where I'm not tied to the business. Now, how many business owners do you know that can actually say that? I don't know a lot. There generally are the business. I've been a business owner before. I was the business. If I wasn't there, nothing got done when I used to own my spray foam company. And I can say the same thing about, my business with doing foam sales right now. Like, I am the person. I can never
disconnect all the way.
I can never disconnect all the way. It'll cost me money. So whether I'm on vacation or no matter what I'm doing, it's like, I can't just put my phone down. Like, where you were able to just, you just recently went on vacation, and knowing that I was here to pick up the things that you were doing. Mm-hmm. And it was funny too, because there was even just so much grace for me to just take that over, because like God so much cares about you to be able to actually unplug and lay that down. Mm-hmm. Whereas even though I was actually jumping into doing material orders, scheduling jobs, like I hadn't even done a material order yet, guys. Like, I mean, but,
like, yeah, I can do it.
Like, but I'm like, I can do it and figure it out, right? And it was like a quick thing. And I mean, it was an incredibly, we closed so many jobs while Steven was gone. I mean, I was
about to take another week off. I was like, this is great. I mean, you guys are doing great. You guys don't need me anymore.
It was such a busy week. I actually ended up going out and finishing a job too myself, because it was like, somebody forgot that they had something else going on that day. So I'm like to take care of the customer. And I just remember like, but I had fun doing it. you know, and that's where it's like I'm so aware of doing things out of rest. And even with work, even though...
So that's what I want you to talk actually a little bit more on, on that. Because the concept of try harder, do more, work harder is the American way, right? It's the American way, especially in construction. I mean, just really just sales, or really sales, construction, any field, I'd say, is the more you do. Like I remember hearing that one, right? Like the more I work, the luckier I get. That was a saying I used to hear growing up.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you lean into the Lord and trust Him and learn. I mean, again, right? It's like without hard work, you know, there's a time and a season for everything. There's a time to plow. There's a time to plant. But there's a season where you also you're just resting, right? I was like, so how can we? I don't know if it's a culture thing. I don't know if it's, but share a little bit more about like how you see like learning how to work and rest at the same time, because I see you do this rest and work, which creates a calm confidence. But share more about that. I mean,
you know, it's funny because I think like a lot of things, even it's one thing. I mean, it's definitely from the Lord has refined it, but you know, something my dad always said, honestly, like is work smarter, not harder. And I've always had this like ability. Unfortunately, apart from Jesus, I used it to like manipulate people. You know what I mean? To like get them to do what I want and benefit myself, right? Yeah. So like, it's funny how like God gives you these really great strengths, but apart from using them for Him, they actually become your enemy.
Yeah, an enemy and a weakness, and actually something that exposes like it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I have to look back and, you know, understand like that's how I did. But now using those gifts in the kingdom, it's always, now it's coming from this place of like, oh man, God so loves me, like, and He so loves these other people. It's not a matter of how much I do, but it's knowing His goodness. It's even doing like the foam sales side of thing, just how God blessed me so much through that. But it wasn't even a matter of like how hard I did it. Honestly, if I taught a sales class how I did it, it would not work for most people.
Oh yeah.
It would not work because
not at all.
But it's what I was believing for, but also from rest. And I'm very mindful now because peace is such a tangible currency inside of myself. So even that day you were gone where, I mean, I think I ordered material for 3 jobs. I scheduled 2 jobs. I actually closed the job too, and I don't even do sales, but I just closed the job over the phone and finished this job, like went out and physically worked all in this one day. But I had so much rest. It wasn't like I worked. And it was a very interesting thing because I had to like look at the end of that day and been like, man, I got so much done today, but I don't even feel like I worked. And that's where that like rest is. Now there's been times where I've been, because I've done this before where it's like, okay, I have a couple slow days of, let's say, foam sales or whatever. I instantly want to get into striving. Okay, let me make something happen, you know? And I got to be mindful of like, there's a time for the seeds, right, to be planted and the time for those to go out there. But it's like, you got to plant the seeds in season, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with
you
like,
plant the seeds in the wintertime. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's just being mindful of this too, because, you know, I can even take like, you know, Grant won't mind me saying, but our sales guy, Grant, like he has such a tendency to just like want to like work, you know, and even today I said, you know, I just had to call him and be like, hey, okay, you got one scheduled appointment today. I said, okay, after that, I said, you're going to go home. You're going to spend the day with your wife. You're going to spend the day with your kid. And I was like, you're not to reach out to people. You're not to call people. If they text you or call you, answer, respond, do that. But you need rest, you know, because I know the importance. I just know the importance of that. And I know it's like, and teaching him too as a believer, like, hey, this is like, God cares so much about your family life. And I think creating a company and creating a culture around that mindset that God so cares so much about everybody's family. He cares about fathers being present for their household. And how many men out there have gone through 20 years and been like, wow, I missed everything about my kids, but here we have a nice fancy house and we have fancy cars and we have fancy things. But at the end of the day, they missed
one
out.
Family vacation a year, and this is life.
Yeah.
I'm like, and did we miss it?
And they missed out, right? They missed out on the beauty of their family, and as much as I've been able to be there for my kids, and as much time as even if I'm, even for the foam side of stuff, like I got to be present. I got to be there at the games, and those things are so much more important. But to also, like, now we're creating that from the top down in a company where it's just so contrary, it's like confusing, at the same time, but to like actually take people where it's like, hey, this is actually like, I appreciate your hard work and wanting to do this, but I don't appreciate it if it's at the cost of what really matters.
Yeah. I think that's our slogan, right? Like covering what matters most, which is family. That's interesting too, because I think about how each person's family, like how do we keep on ensuring, like, I guess talking more about your family, right? And as you've navigated opening a business, starting, but also still holding on to, like, I don't want to say holding on to, but just working in the sales area of your, like the foam sales, then as the family dynamic, because as you can see, it's like there's definitely the family dynamic is being present there with them, but also learning there's still responsibilities in the day-to-day business as a business owner that have to get it taken care of. How has that been, like, learning how to manage the two of, like, okay, hey, is it just intertwined for you, or is it just learning, hey, this is separate from that, and I got to take some time away to go do that so I can be present here?
I mean, I think that's what it kind of, like, I've had to been mindful sometimes. It's nice because I have the separate building in my house where we have the office and stuff like that. And I mean, sometimes I just have to be like, hey, I got to go up there. There's things I need to take care of, A lot of times I can be taking care of a lot of things, you know what I mean? Just sitting there, because obviously a lot of it is phone work, is phone calls, it's work, looking at pricing, it's, checking on this, what can we do this for, and just, being there with the guys. So I think kind of, I guess we should get wrapping up here, but I guess this is kind of our pilot episode of this, but really I think for moving forward, in this is, I think a big thing is we just want to have other businesses on it. Not even that we agree with how they do things. And honestly, because I think I think the beauty of God is just that everybody has a God part of them, whether they realize it or not. And they have something to share. People that have been in business for a long time, they have something they're doing right, and something that we can all learn from, even if there's parts and aspects of it we don't agree with. But I think almost creating a platform where it's like you hear from everybody. I mean, whether they're a believer, whether they're not, but I think it just gives you a much broader, like, perspective. And also I like to learn, right? And I always like to look at people like that. Hey, what can I learn from them, or take just the nuggets from people? Because everybody has a gift to give the world, whether they realize it or not, they have a gift to give the world.
That's the learning lessons from other leaders, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's exactly what we're looking to do, right? I was like, it's the person who says, I'm still coachable no matter how high I go. I'm still coachable. I'm still learning. I don't got it figured out. I'm a leader and I'm a learner. And the more we can get those people in here, it's just like the tendency that want to lead but are still learning.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a valuable thing that many people want to hear, and they want to see, like, hey, here's a real raw, like for mine, like, hey, I have had to continually probably still learn even more. I'm like, there needs to be more patience with people. I'm like, they don't see it as fast. They don't see it as like, just be patient in the process. like patience with the process of each person, and being ready to, it's funny, it's like we talk about like the adaptability side. I'm like, be willing to change, be willing to adapt.
Be willing to be wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm going to say the biggest thing. We talk about this all the time. It's like owning your mistakes.
Yeah.
Hey, I messed up on this one. This was my bad. And
well, it's the pride goes before the fall side, and it's just learning like, hey, let's keep pride in check, and let's keep growing together. I mean, like as a community of people who just want to see the best in other people. Like, I don't care what kind of business they're running, where they're at, just wanting to see the best.
So I guess the question for you is, what are you most excited about with this podcast?
My heart is really just to see other leaders let down the wall, right? Like let their wall down and let them see that it's okay to be completely real, completely raw, and not 100% buttoned up, if you will, right? I'm like, it's a Southern saying, I guess. I'm from California, but the Southern saying is, it's got to look buttoned up. I'm like, what does that even like? I've learned, like, oh, it just means it's got to look perfectly pinpointed, no dirt on your shirt type thing. I'm like, hey, it doesn't need to look buttoned up. In fact, many things.
We'll tell some good
about realness.
Yes, and next time we'll tell some good. We'll tell a really good story about a job that we did. So we'll save that one for next time.
Yeah,
we'll give you photos, but I
already know what you're talking about.
But it's but that's what I mean, like the transparency of it. So we'll definitely be sharing those things as well.
Stories of contractors.
Stories of just the stories, just the real, and like. But I think that's a big part of our hearts is like we don't have it all together, but we know that God is for us and God is with us and He's doing this with us, and it's just exciting. So,
it is. It's a lot of fun.
So that wraps up our first pilot episode of the Kingdom Business Conversations, where leaders are always learning. Yeah, leaders are always learning, and just thank you all for tuning in. If you know anybody. Know any business owners that might be interested in sitting down with us or might have something to add, we would love to hear. Just reach out to us. Send us a message, send us an email.
We hope to connect soon and hear more of your story. Until next time.